Good morning and a warm welcome to this week's edition of The Dialogue. It is the big show where we look back to the big events of the week. The panel does thorough analysis on those major events. My name is Prince Apollo. Welcome to the show. It's been a very busy week, and Richard Baguma is here in the studio. Dr. Gerard Wanzara is in the studio. We'll be joined by Honorable Richard Lumu to contextualize the events and reflect on matters of national importance. Like I said, it's been a very, very busy week, but we'll be looking at several specific events, looking at the events which played out in the General Court Martial this week in the trial of retired Colonel Dr. Kizabesije alongside the co-accused Obed Lutale, where the General Court Martial insisted it has jurisdiction to try Dr. Besije and civilians at large, but also its jurisdiction extends even across, beyond Uganda's boundaries. Well, we'll be also looking at the chaos that is happening in our politics, reflecting on events which played out in Masaka during the burial of Honorable Segirinya Muhammad, the former now Kawempe MP, North MP, where members of the National Unity Platform we are in a scuffle for the birthday of Honorable Segirinya, and commentators are looking at such incidents as a precursor for political violence in Uganda. Many other issues, but of course we will quickly also look at the alcohol scourge, and we'll be asking whether this has been this real problem of alcohol abuse has been ignored. And quickly, let me introduce my panel. I'm always honored, and it's my pleasure to have Dr. Gerard Wanzara, a man from the United Republic of Chirinya. Happy to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you very much, Apollo. Good morning, Apollo. Good morning, our viewers. I'm happy to be back. I missed you last week.
True.
And I bring you greetings from the United Republic of Chirinya. And of course, last week I was happy to be home in Manamisindwa, and they sent you greetings.
Thank you.
They watch this program, especially Mobutu Town Council.
Yeah.
They sit and watch, and they appreciate.
We send greetings too.
Yeah, I send greetings to them, especially Peter, who hosts them.
Yeah.
I find so many people sitting to watch the program.
We should do it meza in Buburo.
How is Buburo?
Yeah, it is okay. Of course, it's hot because of January season, but we're optimistic that probably rains will come early, regardless of the challenges of climate change. I'm happy with some entities that are there supporting the communities to be resilient, especially in regard to controlling soil erosion. Our place is hilly, and so we had not adopted the system that is in Chigezi, where people have terraces and so forth. But now I've seen those interventions being done, especially by NGOs, which is a plus.
And quickly, how was your week? I heard you mention about the planned mass executions in the DRC as a measure to counter rising urban crime.
Actually, it's not only planned, but it has been implemented, because
Really?
In December they executed about 45, and then they followed up by executing 102 urban gangs on the 5th of January, and then they had transported another 70 to the prisons for execution last week. But of course the government is saying that they had also abolished the death sentence because of lobbyist groups. But then the government says that the gangs known as kulunas have become a problem, that you cannot carry anything on the street. They will jump on you and kill you or steal your belongings, and then that started even controlling territory. So I think that's the justification the government has. But of course it is it is a dual-edged sword, because if you have such mass executions, sometimes the danger that it can also go to the opposition if, especially the justice system is not well developed to try people well. And but I think sometimes some decisive actions have to be taken. The fact is that if you try someone transparently, then probably it could be better than what we tried here, like Operation Wembley, where we were not trying, people are just shooting them. Because gangs can become a problem. If you look at countries like Haiti, Haiti has been destroyed by gangs.
But you speak about DRC and the decisive action to control gangs. This week, also our security forces were under fire over the killing of suspects. 6 suspected robbers were shot and gunned down here in Kampala, and that has
I think there's
that sound is similar to what you're talking about.
No, I think they're quite different, because in the case of robberies in the bank, for instance, some of these robbers come when they're armed, and so they are ready. When they see the police, probably they can even shoot fast. So you find that the forces can shoot in self-defense, or sometimes they disable you.
Not the case here, not the case with the Uganda police.
Yes, but I need to know what happened exactly. But what I think is that the robbers were also armed. And,
with the pangas.
Not guns.
Not guns.
Then that's a different case.
That's a different case. Let me also take the honor to introduce Richard Baguma, a communication expert, but also a strong advocate for a healthy living. Happy to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be back. Congratulate ourselves. We are still fresh into the new year. And thank God, as always, the all merciful, the Almighty, for giving us this opportunity. And I thank you, Apple, as always, for steering us very well.
Sure.
It's not only in Buwuto, you said? Buwutu. It's not only in Buwutu that they are watching us. No, I think they are watching us in many places.
True.
If you take the feedback that we pick.
Yeah.
Yes.
And quickly, how was your week? I heard you speak about the alcohol scourge in Uganda.
Yeah.
I give you some minutes to
Thank
speak
you.
about it.
So Apollo, the first, you see, I want to start on a good note, not on the depressing note. The one is the graduation.
Yeah, sure.
The graduations that have been happening. They are a group of, in all these universities, we have these groups of the UN Association who have come, and some of them now performed excellently. They were first class degree students, so they invited us for the party, come and give a speech. That is feel very sweet. So yeah, the week start was good in that way, and I congratulate all of them and encourage the others to also shoot high. Now, and then I had the depressing side, and that's what you seem to pick, because probably that's what I talked about. I went with, as always, the Uganda Alcohol Policy Alliance, to which I belong, to speak to the leadership of Eastern Uganda, who are meeting in Tororo, the cultural leaders, the religious leaders, the political leaders, the RDCs and things. But as I always do, I do meet the media. So I met the media, 25 or whatever it is, in Tororo. But what first really affected me was when we were going, I think it's the only region, this region, when you are going to the Werike's place, I think it's the only place where you find alcohol being sold like muchomo or gonja.
on the streets,
along the road.
along the road.
Yes, so I saw the bottles and I was saying, but what is in the bottles? They said it's alcohol. They said no. So the children, the what, it doesn't matter. You come and buy by the roadside. So where we stopped buying chomo or gonja, Apollo, it is alcohol, you know. I don't know if...
And it's a mandure.
And it is the real, the one where you light the matchbox and it writes.
Really?
So I was like, but, so is there leadership in this place? Are there leaders? They told me yes, when we reached, and the journalists too, they told me the most frequent and perhaps most important, and I am waiting for my namesake,
Yeah.
commodity that the politicians, it doesn't matter the level, members of parliament, IOCs, what are giving to the people is alcohol. That's the most important. Whoever comes, the first thing they give you is alcohol. That's the most important. You know. And I said, so what kind of leadership are we having? No wonder, Apollo. Uganda is the drunkard country for Africa. We are the #1 drinking country. And I'm waiting for my namesake, Richard, because in Parliament, they said that there is no problem of alcohol. I drove, he's here. He came from home the other day. Along the road, where for us we sell mchomo and gonja. For them, they said alcohol.
Between Ginger and Iganga.
It is. And they said there is no problem. Really? What they are giving, we are in the campaign here.
Yeah.
The first prevalent, most important item a politician will give is alcohol. So that's what we are discussing. And so we are a country that is number one drinking country, staggering drunk in Africa, top 5 in the world. And finally, for me, from the media, all of us in the media are not talking about this problem.
So generally, we are ignoring a problem, actually a serious problem, that is devastating livelihoods of people.
That is why I tell you I'm associated with 19 rehabilitation centers in and around Kampala. Our children are ending up there. Even ourselves, some older people, we fear to talk about it. So we must confront this problem of alcohol. We cannot keep hiding our heads in the sand. It is simply not possible.
The last time the issue, an attempt to table a bill to control alcohol in Parliament, it was blocked and it did not progress.
Yeah, but you see, that's the question that the leaders in Tororo and from Eastern Uganda, we met and the journalists were asking. They said, no, but there is a law in Kenya, there is a law in Tanzania, there is a law in Rwanda. So we are an island of no regulation. Maybe we are proud of that. We are champions of no regulation. We can also take that one. I cannot be proud, of course, as part of, as a person who cannot deny totally being associated with government. I can't say I'm not ashamed to be associated with this. So lack of regulation totally, whatever happened in Parliament, we have information, but I'm not a parliamentarian, but it's shame. We cannot hide. You see, the thing about alcohol, even when people try to hide in their homes, my husband, my wife, my child, you end up in rehabilitation, you end up in a road crash, you end up with liver cirrhosis, you can't hide it. So we must confront it openly.
Before I bring in my special guest this morning, what you saw along the road, is it any different? Is it a special case in any way, or it's what is happening across the country? At least you have the data.
But you see, we have normalized drunkenness. That's why we are #1 drinking country in Africa. We have normalized being drunk. Now, we have to denormalize.
What are the dangers?
I know there are very many. I'm going to take the whole program. The 7 commonest cancers in Uganda, the #1 high risk factor for these cancers is alcohol. This is information from the Uganda Cancer Institute. They have presented these papers. I was with them when we went to Parliament. The #1 driver for heart disease in this country is alcohol. Liver cirrhosis. But now, the latest report we have, it is a Uganda national government report, because you see, I use government documents, on the prevalence of HIV/AIDS and the drivers. Among the top drivers is alcohol. So, in the Kampala, we just launched a report with Kampala City Council, the Bloomberg, in Philanthropies and the World Resources Institute. One of the greatest crash causes, we call them accidents, in this town in the evening is alcohol. So it really, it's a problem that we must confront. Apollo. We can't keep hiding.
We cannot keep hiding.
No, no.
But let me introduce my special guest this morning, Honorable Richard Lumu, Member of Parliament for Mityana South. It's a pleasure to have you on the dialogue. Speak to our viewers.
Yeah, I'm very sorry I could not make it
It's okay.
on time. And the problem came from down there. I didn't know the road is blocked. And I had to go back and turn to end up here. And as I was ending up there, I think a traffic officer is either on what he's been talking about. He decided to block the road for over 10 minutes for reasons you can associate strongly on what he has been talking about. But I'm very happy that I'm here, and good morning, viewers.
Good morning. You will immediately delve into the matter, I mean, on the table. And he made a serious accusation that from their findings, their research findings, you politicians are actually one of the drivers of this, I mean, behind this the alcohol scourge. The item you easily deliver to the voters is alcohol.
I was not prepared to have a very morning at but you've pulled it out of me. Yeah, because to be frank, it is distributed.
Yeah.
But one must ask, what is our politics like, especially in Uganda? When we go to politics, what are we really talking about? Are we talking about policies? Are we talking about the people? Or we are talking about actually things which are, most of the time, I might say in quotes, useless, but very good to be had by the voters. For that, I'm not saying that the voters are wrong, but I think we have not done enough to sensitize the voters to actually understand the importance of the politics. So you find that people end up distributing alcohol, distributing all kinds of things. But those things are not actually helping the voter. Those things we are distributing are actually destroying the voters and impairing them even to be able to make right decisions. I know of a member of parliament, I will not mention the name for so that I remain safe. He said that in his constituencies, if he does not, he comes from the west actually, the far west, that if he doesn't distribute alcohol, he's very sure he's going to lose.
Really?
Yes. But the thing is, when we go to the electorates, do we actually tell them the politics? The actual thing is that no. We concentrate on actually what I would call petty, useless things. But the voters are willing to listen. Why? Because they don't have information. They don't have the capacity to research, to actually, like he's been talking from the research. How many voters have gotten capacity to do that? Very few of them. They are waiting for this leader to come and actually tell them, inform them. When the leader goes there, instead of informing, he impairs them even further. So that when the election comes, someone is impaired. He's thinking of, who gave me the booze? So and so. So he goes and throws a vote. I'm saying throwing. Why am I using the word
So
throw?
politicians are finding it cheaper
Yeah, they
to
throw.
use alcohol as a campaign tool.
Yeah, they throw. Why am I using the word throwing? Because some of the voters actually do not know the importance of the vote. That's why I'm using the word throwing. So when that one is done, someone's voted. When it's voted, a bill like the one which was almost
Alcohol
brought
control bill.
in Parliament, the alcohol control bill.
Consumption control.
Yes. Then someone throws a bill like that. He now thinks, hey, how did I come here? Am I going to tell my people whom I really use the alcohol to vote for me that now I'm controlling the alcohol? The other one is the tax issue.
Yeah.
You see, there is what they call statecraft. The boozing, the overboozing in Uganda is statecraft. When people are impaired, they are so drunk, they are sleeping, they are on top of each other, they are happy. They don't think of how they would think of removing someone from power. They
Really?
Don't. Yeah, they don't. They are
Can the
drunk.
leaders
They
opt to keep their
yes,
the
very much so.
population drunk
Very much so.
so
First
that they
of all,
can be easily
the more you
manipulated
drink,
and
the more taxes you pay. What does the leader want? Taxes. The more you are drunk, the more you are sleeping. The more you are sleeping, you don't think of removing him or changing policies because you don't care. You are drunk. So I can use even the alcohol to keep the status quo the way it is. You see, in Uganda, I know my colleagues here have traveled. Uganda is a very unique country that what is done here is not done anywhere in any other country. Where you find, this is 10:30, some people are already drunk
yeah.
now. It's not anywhere. In other countries, at this time, if you are drunk, actually, the one who is drinking will feel ashamed of being drunk this time. In Uganda, people are drunk now. People are thinking of how much they will be drunk by 2 and how much they will be extra drunk by 6.
Honorable, you as,
So, let me
you as
finish
policy
this.
makers,
Let me finish this.
are you aware of the dangers?
Yes.
This
That is why I'm telling you. That's why I brought the word statecraft. So the people who are on the helm of power, including us in Parliament, if the population is kept at bay, the population is satisfied, the population is relaxed, it is an advantage to the leader. The leader will not be perturbed so much.
Let me hear from Dr. Willie Wanzara. You've heard now, alcohol has become a political and campaign tool, and actually a hot item, a campaign tool from at least the submissions. I don't know if you find facts in what has been submitted. Could that be true?
Of course, it is very factual. I come from a constituency where one of the MPs is a regular distributor of bottles of waragi.
Really?
Every time he arrives at the trading centers, the youth run and surround his car, and then they all get. And then he leaves when he's very happy. But now, of course, that by implication shows that you are condoning that behavior just because you are manipulative and you benefit from it. Now, if you look at alcohol and the productivity of labor, we have been talking about the PDM, for instance. Today, if you go, PDM was targeting the most poor people in the community. And if you go and ask just sample a few who received the money, they will tell you, I got 200,000, I gave the people who helped me get the money. And then I got 600 million, I also drank. Okay? Then I bought a piglet and it died because he could not even take care of that piglet. So you can see how alcohol retrogresses a country. And when he talks about the health burden, you see that you spend more treating people in the hospital instead of them being in the gardens working. That is why you see countries like China, they base more on sensitization so that people prevent diseases instead of waiting until they are sick. But we have a sick population. Look at the mental health. Since independence, we have one mental health hospital of government in the whole country. The doctors will tell you that 90% of people who are in the Butabika there are not, they are not bewitched, they are not, but they are abusers of drugs, and alcohol is one of the drugs. Especially the numbers during COVID, when people were confined, there were so many people who started drinking, especially women who joined the drinking and ended up in the Butabika. So this issue, we don't have to look at it from only the tax kind of, taxation perspective.
The revenue.
The revenue. Because I saw that is the issue that most of the MPs were pushing, that the implication, but if you have a health population working harder, probably you may get more taxes compared to you depending on drunkards, because the drunkards cannot take same decisions when they go to elect, they will not elect. A good example is Karamoja. Karamoja is an area where the population is abused with alcohol during elections. You find government people are giving alcohol, the people are drinking from morning to evening. At the time of voting, they are not even there. It is the army and the electoral officials ticking for them, because the electoral officials will be ashamed. Did you do sensitization? Why haven't people turned up? So they sit and tick the ballots themselves. So you can see how destructive
It is serious.
But, a little bit. We are talking about alcohol, but we have left out a very important thing: the other substances.
Yes.
For example, marijuana.
Yeah.
You know, it is freely grown in Uganda, and it is freely harvested and actually supplied. I will not mention the hotel, but there is a hotel in Uganda. There are hotels. When you
Marijuana is enjoy.
yes, but when you go in their hotels and they give you a menu,
It's illegal.
they will tell you green tea. There's something called green tea.
Eh.
That green tea, I will want you to go and research about green tea.
I've
Actually, when you take green
never
tea,
taken.
you are basically taking enjai itself
Really?
in hotels, and these are big hotels.
Even the little ones, they ask you, they have a name for the spice.
For the spice,
They
and
call it a spice. When you say Monterium spices,
there is a specific name.
for that spice.
Yes. So
But
the
it is
supply,
enjai.
the supply.
So we are being served enjoy.
You are served enjai, and that enjai is given a different name. For you, you'll be taking green tea, but in real sense, you are taking enjai. Now, that supply of enjai in relation to what he was saying, you don't know the health implications.
Yeah.
Because you don't know which amounts you are taking. So you might take it and it ends up attacking your heart, or I'm not a medical person, or any other organ, because you have taken it in excess. You have taken it too much than you are supposed to take. In some countries, they control marijuana. You go to a pharmacy with the prescription, and you take that particular amount with a medical attendee giving you the right dosage. But here it is everywhere. If you go to those streets, you see people sleeping everywhere. Some of those are sleeping with the effect of enjai. If you go and do research in town, Kampala here, you'll find someone sleeping under the scorching sun.
Yeah, true. I see.
But the word I will use, soundly sleeping. You wonder what kind of sleep can really catch a man under the sun, under the rain, and all the cold, all the dust, and is completely sleeping. That is the effect of enjai. There is enjai which is sold all over Kampala in kettles, in form of tea. It is
Really?
here. Yes, in form of tea. You go, you sit somewhere, they give you tea, but they are basically giving you enjai.
Unknowingly.
Knowingly.
Or knowingly.
Knowingly. And there are customers who go there specifically to have it. This is in Uganda. I'm not talking about Kenya. It is in Uganda here. It is you now, special journalists like you, to go and really do
true.
a special investigation on it. So if we talking about alcohol, we must talk also of other substances.
Yeah.
There are trees. I don't know the right names in English, but there are trees. If you take those trees, or you sniff them, or you drink their barks, you'll be completely off.
Yeah, intoxicated.
Yes, they are there, and now people have gotten to understand them. Why? Some people have studied. They know the effects of these trees. So they disseminate that information that if they are saying, don't use the njai, use this one. So you find there is a tree in some village where people are going for bucks endlessly. You say, what are people looking for? They know the effects. So I think there must be great research to research about these trees, about these
So
leaves.
there is a lot of substance abuse
A lot
in this
of it.
country.
In schools, everywhere.
Yes, it is serious. Baguma, you started it. Please close it.
No, I think we must not be an island of drunkenness. We cannot take pride in being the top drunkard country in the continent. If you come from a home,
We are about to become number one in the world.
in the world, yes. If you come from a home and your home is identified as a home of drunkards in the village, even the girls will not come to marry you, or the men will not come to marry your daughters. So we can't be. So our leaders must take leadership, because that's what leadership is about. And
Honorable Rumu is here.
yeah, but you see,
Can we plead with him to introduce perhaps another bill?
realistically, they are going in two campaigns. We won't have a bill being reintroduced. We also don't want to have a lot of alcohol supplying people coming to debate a bill again this time. Let's be sober and probably bring it in the next parliament. But
after elections
but
have
this
gone.
question, yes, we have been asking. The alcohol producing companies in Uganda, the big ones, they are not all owned from Uganda.
No.
How come in the countries where they come from, they have alcohol control laws? I told you in the East when I was there, they told me that there is something called Baada ya Kazi. The Kenyan men, especially the men, in the evening after work, they all come to Uganda to drink, because it is free for all. There is no control. And then they get on borders,
Go back to their home
back
country.
at night. That is how ridiculous
We are.
we are. So really, this problem of alcohol, we must tackle it. But we also must be honest as individuals where we start from. That is why we are talking to the cultural leaders. We're saying, you guys, your subjects are drowning in alcohol. We can't keep quiet. We're talking to the religious leaders. I don't want to talk about, there is a rehabilitation center here, not far from here. It is for priests.
Really? A rehabilitation center, rehabilitating
It is
priests.
for religious leaders. Not far from here, it's a few kilometers from here. Even after here, I can take you. That is the crisis we are having. The number of children, especially for us, the homes who are doing well. One of the fastest growing businesses around this town is rehabilitation centers. That I can guarantee you. I will even invite you to the opening of one just after Chengera there, Aporo. And you go and see the children of who is who are there. We can't hide. We are pretending for nothing.
It is a crisis, and indeed a crisis. Talking about alcohol and substance abuse in this country, I am actually skeptical over how now people are rushing to use energy drinks. I mean,
No regulation.
people are rushing to. I don't know if there is enough sensitization on the effects of the ingredients that are in these energy drinks. It is. I don't know, but Richard, if you can make a quick comment on it and we'll move on.
Let me tell you, Apollo. The things that drove me to focus on health in my journalism was very practical things. Because I would ask, but why? Why have we all of a sudden, why does the report say we have increased heart diseases in Uganda? What has changed? Is it the diet? Is it the what? It is the consumption. It is this injaga that has been normalized. I found this keto, when they asked me for the spice, I didn't know. In Ntinda. So when I asked for spices, they said they have a local name. I didn't understand it. I said they already started smiling. So you see this reflected in our health centers. You see it reflected in the costs of health. You see this reflected in school dropouts.
Yeah, true.
You see this reflected in increased pregnancies.
Lives that have been devastated.
You see this increased in gender-based violence. The people whose head
even road accidents. We talk about reckless driving
in this country
as causes of accidents,
yes.
but that's not reckless
Go to
driving.
the border ward in Murago. You know Murago has a border ward. In Tororo, they told me the regional hospital, they call it Bajaji ward. Wow. It is intoxication that is taking many of us here.
Very sad, but that is it. We are in a dialogue. My name is Prince Apollo, Honorable Richard Lumu, Mitana House MP, but also a member of the Democratic Party. Richard Baguma, Tinkasimire, communication expert, but also a strong advocate for healthy living. But also Dr. Gerard Wanzala, public policy researcher, but also as an associate lecturer at Uganda Management Institute. Thank you so much for watching. We call to you to also participate in the debate. Send in your comments and observations on 0701 609906. Send by WhatsApp, send by SMS. We'll be reading those messages as the show progresses. Now let's switch gears. Quickly, let's look at the events which played out in Masaka during the burial of Honorable Segirinya, when politicians were fighting for a dead body. And now political commentators are looking at the violence, the chaos that ensued on that day as a precursor for political violence in the future. I don't know what Dr. Wirihe thinks. Well, we've been talking about gangs, we've been talking about gang violence and another actually challenge. And when it comes to politics, we are in a political season. We cannot know what will happen. Dr. Wirihe, take your first shot.
Thank you very much, Apple. First, I want to ask myself, because you said, could it be a precursor to electoral violence for in 2026, 2025? I want to ask myself whether we have totally had a free election, free of violence. As long as I remember, in the recent history of Uganda, I have not seen. Usually there are hot spots that we have. If you look at the previous election, for instance, we had some kind of violence in Mitiana, where there was a lot of contestation between NUP and trying to take away the NRM, and so it was tense, and also some characters involved, like the Honorable Zake. It had played out since 2017, and we saw it climaxing. We also saw the arrest of Bobby Wine and what followed, and I believe, as I told you previously, that the opposition in terms of institutional politics, political parties, we can say they are kind of disintegrated, you know, because of both internal weaknesses and external hand, but the population is increasingly becoming militant. It is very young. You saw the average age of a Ugandan is 15 years, so it is a country of children. Now, if children, these youth are not guided, they are not sensitized, there's no civic and voter education, at the end of the day, some politicians can hijack them and use them for negative causes. So with that, I can authoritatively say that it will happen. Some violence will take place. Now, in isolation, if I look at this issue in Masaka, I saw a contestation, continuing contestation, between the former deputy president of NUP, the Honorable Mpuga, and the president of NUP, the Honorable Chagulanyi. I think it was a demonstration of strength, trying to show strength, but also capturing the moment, given that the way the late Segirinya was handled, people have tempers, people are angry. They don't believe the death was of natural causes, even if they were, because of the manner in which the courts handled him, the court martial, the denial of bail, and him getting sick in. So, with that kind of anger in the population, every politician who wants to dominate, wants to capture the moment and use the moment to, you know, as a platform to push forward their agenda and their message. Therefore, I saw that play out. Of course, the Honorable Mpuga is in a very tricky situation because that is his home ground, and given his good relationship with Parliament, probably being in charge of such a function as a senior politician would also have put him in high regard. But we saw the NUP foot soldiers, as they call them, acting very militantly and trying to say, you are nothing. So I believe this is going to continue playing out, and unfortunately, it may not end well for some of the politicians.
Wow. Honorable Umu, this militant approach to politics, and well, he talked about contestations between two top leaders in a political, once together in a political party. Do you think it may stop, or it may remain within themselves, or this can this possibly in future may explode and it affects the political landscape of this country?
You see, I was dismayed and I was baffled. I was annoyed. I was flabbergasted. I'm still annoyed. I knew Segirinya for some time, like for 10 years, and I know what he could do in his capacity and what he couldn't. At least I knew his little weaknesses and I knew his strength. And when he got sick, I got to know about it. I was following whatever was going on, and when he was incarcerated in Masaka and Chibo, I knew everything. But when he died, what annoyed me is that he was made into a trophy.
Oh.
Who wins a trophy? That annoyed me and actually pissed me. Because you are dead. You are supposed to be buried
decently,
in a manner which is decent enough for your family and for your friends and even for your associates. But he was turned into a trophy. Who wins what? Who takes what? Who is stronger? Who is not? And that, to a sane person, would ask, where are we really heading to? Where are we going? Because tomorrow it might be me.
Yeah.
I might die tomorrow. I would be annoyed wherever I would be if I would see my body actually being fought for as a trophy that I must win, and people making all kinds of politics on my body. It will hurt my family very much, and I'm very sure the family of Segirinya might be very annoyed.
They are really hurt.
They are hurt. They were hurt. The other one is the violence and the military kind of group which is coming up, and the militarism which is being
sorry,
constructed.
They will check your microphone. There is a problem. Well, viewers, we on the dialogue, like I said, my producer can start running the numbers on the screen so that we get the feedback from you. What do you think about the trajectory Uganda's politics is taking, looking at the scenes from the burial of Honorable Segirinya? You feel sorry, you feel concerned. The chaos and the contestations. Some people are talking about the ego, a contestation of egos between politicians. Now Honorable Lumu talks about a dead body turning into a trophy for politicians, all fighting to win that trophy. That sounds really not so good. I will be taking the comments soon, but I need Honorable Lumu to conclude on this matter, possibly telling us how best we can handle it. But you can proceed.
So, as I was saying that I was a little bit pissed by the way, traditionally, I'm a Muganda myself, and Segirinya was a Muganda too. So there are acceptable ways of burials and how they are handled.
This was different.
So different. I've never seen a thing of that kind. In Parliament, when they give you it, when a member of Parliament dies, actually Parliament is in control of that body. Because he's a sitting member of Parliament, that is why that body is taken to Parliament for mourning. There are following events which Parliament must actually control. If you saw what happened when the former Speaker died, Parliament was in control, but that one was a bigger kind of burial. When Cecilia Ogwal died, you saw what happened. When the former Minister of the one of Kabale died, you know what happened. So I was expecting a function of that kind. It is a mixture of national handling and traditional handling, depending on someone's tradition. But this was a very different thing, a show of might, a show of muscle. I can do this and I can show you power, ABCD. So that one was not good. For some people they can say, oh, so and so won, the other one won. But we must keep human at all times. In African Bantu, there is what they call Ubuntu. That must not die. And I normally tell people there must be life after politics. Let us not exceed what can even happen after politics. Yes, you can hate each other in politics. You can hate each other. But there is that life when both of you will not be in politics. What will happen? I was giving a story one day, and this is a true story which happened when I was beginning my legal practice. You know, like young lawyers, you want to show power. And we did a lot of bad things to someone. And you know what happened? If a relative of mine got a girl and we had to go for introduction, do you know where we are going? We are going to that family.
The same.
We are going to that family.
People you agree with.
That is a situation which we could not control, and we had to go there. So you might do a lot of things to hurt another one today, but you never know where it will end.
Sure.
So let's be human. Let us not be too much of politicians. Mpuga, I saw Mpuga really on TV because I was not there. I couldn't go there because I was out of the country anyway. I saw him doing this. Then I saw the other group also doing the other. What touched me was the mother. I really want, I don't know which words I can use to have that mother to forgive us. Because I saw she was in a very terrible situation. Can I say this? Or I can get a problem with this? Because this is her son. And she was saying, I would opt for this. And there was an answer. No, you can't do it. So that was
It was so
very bad
so
thing.
precarious in one or another. Thank you so much, Honorable Richard. Richard Baguma, quickly, they are talking about extremism in politics. They are also talking about intolerance. And what do you read from those events which played out, especially considering the political future of this country?
I think, first of all, it was useful if you are interested in managing, if you are interested in managing security. I think it was very useful. Because now then you start realizing what gangism you may have to be dealing with, and you need to prepare accordingly. I think I never in my mind this thing of getting off the show, and I'm accused of being controversial. But I never in my mind thought that those guys, any of those people, really cared for
Segili.
I never ever thought in my mind that
That is why
any of those guys cared for Segini. I think the people who cared for Segini, we don't even know them. Maybe we knew the mother then, or the sisters. I asked even, did Segini have a wife? No one has told me, has given me an answer. I don't know. Did Segini have a wife? They said some 20 children came. Where did they come from? Because they said, I had somebody on air the day before his burial, when he had just died. The man was on air on these talk shows and saying there is another Nagirinya, a little older than this Nagirinya that the speaker was supporting. No, he said, no, Segirinya yazara mwana wange. Omwana na ina amwita Nagirinya. That one I don't hear them talking about. And I told somebody, I said, all these people, they don't really care about Segirinya. Segirinya, challenge is that he's surrounded by people who don't care about him. And they are all positioning as if they give a hoot at all. Whether he's incarcerated, whether he's rotting in prison. Really, it is not about him. It's about how much you can milk that situation. In fact, I said at that time that Segirinya's getting out of prison and being okay would undermine those people's objectives. Yeah, so it was better that he had to be rotting, he had to be denied bail, they were milking that situation. You resolve that situation, they have nothing to milk. So, so that it played out this way at the burial. I mean, wouldn't be so shocking. And I keep saying the same about Dr. Chiza Besigye now. I say there are many people who are buzzing around him.
Around the general court martial.
Who really don't give a damn about him. That's my view. I say that they don't give a damn about him. They are seeing how much they can milk the situation. If you resolved it now, they would be unhappy. But the situation
is that basic with the politics, or this is so different? This is hypocrisy. This is opportunism. Is that politics really, or?
No, you see, we tend to divorce politics from everyday life. I don't agree with that. I think we are generally political. That human beings, we are generally political. When we come to speak on air, I have told you that when we come to speak here, we self-edit. There are certain things I will not say.
Yeah.
There are certain things I will say in a certain way. Yeah.
Not to annoy some.
Also to give advantage to myself, or not to disadvantage myself.
Yeah.
I told you there is something they call it chuzo, a crab. There is always a crab hanging on your head. It doesn't matter who you are. So we play politics around. Now, for people who want power, Apollo, you see, I keep talking about power. Power is ruthless. Power is unkind. Yes. Power is heartless. It takes Ubuntu out of people. And it does power. So political power is the worst. But even religious power, even monetary power, takes a certain Ubuntu from people. There are certain people who must rise and be on top. To do that, they must crush people's heads and step on them.
Very unfortunate. This is the dialogue. Let's go for a short break. When we return,
very truthful man.
when we return, Honorable Richard Lumu and Richard Baguma alongside Dr. Weda Wanzala will take this debate forward, but also we'll be looking at the events playing out in the General Court Martial. Looks like there are some precedents, coming from the court martial, and also there is an aura of uncertainty around what is happening and what may happen in the future. My name is Prince Apollo. We go for a short break and we come after a short while. From the break, this is the dialogue on Salt TV. My name is Prince Apollo. On the show this morning, Honorable Richard Lumu, Member of Parliament for Mityana South, a member of the Democratic Party. We have Richard Baguma, two Richards today. Richard Baguma is a communication expert and a strong advocate for healthy living. We have Dr. Weda Wanzala from the United Republic of Chirinya, public policy researcher, but also an associate lecturer at Uganda Management Institute, looking at the events which played out during the burial of Kawempe North MP, former now MP, Muhammad Segirinya. The debate is on the future of politics in Uganda, especially looking at the militant approach to issues, the chaos now extending to burials. I was told by many friends who are actually legislators in Parliament who wanted to go to attend that burial, but they couldn't. Hopefully they anticipated chaos and there was live streaming. Some may have stopped on the way. They were seeing what was actually happening, and many may have stopped on the way. And that's not good in any way. But the concerns are whether these issues can extend and become the body politic of this country. I need to read the messages first and then we proceed, but we'll be also looking at the events at the General Court in the General Court Martial in the trial of Dr. Kizza Besigye and Obed Lutale. Now they have another army man in the dock, Captain Dennis Ola. Good morning, Mr. Apollo, and my submission on the matter is that the opposition has to get better ways of playing politics rather than coming on people's values to show their relevance. I entirely agree with Mr. Baguma that power takes away Ubuntu from someone, but as a leader or someone intending to lead people tomorrow, what lessons do we pick from the actions of that individual? So to me, entirely Nup Gang continues to bring out its ugly head as far as the leadership and politics of this country is concerned. I'm Abel Keru Akampumuza. Thank you, Abel Keru, for the comment. Thanks, moderator, for the nice program. I am Wadil Stephen, a journalist from Fort Portal and a strategic communication specialist. True, many politicians poison the youth with alcohol during campaigns, and this is something that Ugandans need to focus on. We need to conduct civil education for people, especially in rural areas and ghettos, to understand the role of elections. People have lost hope in leaders because they don't return or implement their manifestos. They believe that the 100,000 offered as a bribe to elect them is enough during the elections. Here, in our areas, when you don't have money or purchase alcohol for people, please accept defeat. Government, through the Electoral Commission, should take civil education as a priority. The line ministries, agencies, and the local governments should also sensitize the people about health issues to prevent further health complications associated with drug abuse. like HIV, cancers, among other issues. The message was a bit long, but I decided to read it out. I found a lot of substance in it. Thank you so much, gentlemen from Fort Portal. Okay, you can keep those messages coming in, and we will be reading them as they come in. Segirinya Yalama that for Bobi Wine to take charge, Parliament would have left the NUP to control the burial and be calm to avoid shame. I am Fiona in Gombe. Actually, they talk about the wishes and the what really the dead man wanted. That possibly that is it, what we saw. But who can prove that? You know,
That's a big question. In law, a will is tangible. You have to touch it, you have to read it, you have to know that it is existing. So I have not heard of a will read to people that me, I'm going to be buried like this, like that, like that. But even if you have a will, you have to know your position in society. You have to know it when you are making a will. You have to know your position in society or in your family.
yeah.
Otherwise, you don't simply make a will. Because you might make a will. There is a man who made a will that for him, he has to be buried without clothes.
Oh.
They just put a body there. He said, we cannot go with this kind of a will.
No, my friend,
You know?
Joseph Tamale Mirundi had
He wanted to be buried
standing.
Who can go with such a will? So,
I don't know if he was serious about it, but he would.
for me,
He would mention it and emphasize it.
For me, what is actually my worry is a time when we are debating of how to bury somebody. This is a time when we should be debating serious politics,
Yeah, true.
especially in the central region.
Yeah.
I have always said that the politics in the central region is a politics of joking.
Joking?
We never touch the substance, the real substance of politics. When
But this is an area where they say it is where politics starts, son.
yeah, but you can make it a joking area. What have we discussed for our people in the last 5 years politically?
As members of parliament,
As members of
from
parliament,
the central
as
region.
the public from the central region, what have we discussed? For example, I will tell you, let us talk about the road sector only. Do you know that in the 5 years, past 5 years, we have not seriously benefited politically in the road sector in central region? We have not. Why?
Yeah.
Because we don't discuss that. For us, we discuss who to hate, who to bury, who to do what. Yes, those are important, but the benefits from the politics we don't discuss. I'll tell you, when I saw President Museveni, the last campaigns when he campaigned in Gulu in 2016, an old man stood and said, "For this time we are going to vote for you, but we want our son so and so, our son so and so, our son so and so, to have this position, this position." That is serious politics. We want these roads. They were talking about some road or Rio or something. Seriously, and those roads were made. If you go there, they're okay. There was a man from Karamoja who was, I don't know the name, I cannot remember, who was talking seriously about his region. When will we ever sit down as people from central region and discuss
You
serious politics?
have a Uganda caucus in
No,
parliament.
I am saying to sit down and
Starts
seriously
with you.
talk about politics. You see, in our politics in Uganda is full of hatred, full of intrigue, full of hypocrisy, and all of that, which actually makes us not think of actually how our voters can benefit from the taxes they are paying. They can benefit from the country. You might hate the government. but you can benefit from it still.
Yeah, true.
You might hate it, you don't want it. Like yesterday we were dealing with BFPs.
Budget framework paper.
Yes.
Papers.
I could not even leave because that is where the money is. I could not leave. I had to be there, listen, argue, do what, so that my area can benefit something from there. So if you are simply annoyed and you keep away because you are annoyed, it is your people who are not going to benefit at all. Lastly. This one, people might hate me, but I don't care. Let us look at the leaders we had during CA.
Yeah.
We can mention
It is
them.
1998.
Yes. We had Dr. Semogerere.
94.
No, 94.
95. We had Dr. Semogerere.
The constitution was
We had Sente
95.
Zakajuri. We had Professor Mwaka. We had those people in Luero. All high-class people. But here, I don't know now what has gone wrong with us. Because when we go down there, we don't actually talk about real things, serious things. We joke around, we dance around.
Do you see that
That's all.
that trend changing?
That we have to change.
Do you see it changing?
We can change. We still have the opportunity to change it. Like,
'Cause we are
I think Doctor mentioned it, that our population is young. They have not seen most of the things happening. They have not seen the seriousness our past leaders had. For example, the Kawanga Semogereres, the John Baptist Kawanga of Masaka, they used to have a dialogue and sit. I remember Semogere sitting with Cecily Ogwal to discuss how do our people benefit. There is a road, I think it is going to Dokoro. That road is a Tamaka road now. That Cecily Ogwal talked about that road, regardless of how much he hated the sitting government, because they are the people who had been removed. But they sat down, discussed with the movement people in that area and FDCs and all of that. They were discussing their area. Time has come that we discuss our area. How can we benefit from how can people benefit from
Can
our
you
taxes?
propose avenues through which you can hold that discussion?
We have tried. I'm one person, I don't talk too much. I don't want too much cameras. But I have written to concerned people. I have moved to them and told them, don't you think it is time we sit down as people, leaders in Central Region, regardless of our political affiliations, we can still sit together because we are leaders in one region and discuss how do we benefit from the taxes our people are paying. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we are going to stay quarreling. We die, another group comes, we quarrel over, and we die, and we die, and we die. And our people remain there. Look at, just let me, there is Nakasek Industrial Park. I don't know whether you've ever visited
Kapeka.
that area, Kapeka. Look what the road's going there. The raw material comes from Gomba. And that road from Gomba passes through Mitiana, through my constituency to there. It is impassable. Those are the things we must be talking about. The raw materials are coming from Gomba. Are the people from Gomba benefiting from that extraction? Look at the gold in Kasanda. It is extracted using the hose which we use to dig in
There's
gardens.
artisanal mining happening there.
Are our people really in Kasanda benefiting from that? Look at the coffee. Most of the coffee is grown from here and is exported. There's a lot of money coming from it. Are we benefiting from it? Look at the lake. The biggest part of the lake is here in Uganda. A lot of fish is gotten from there, exported. Are we benefiting from it? Look at the roads. All the roads connect here in Kampala. They are bringing in goods. What? Are we benefiting?
So it is politics and
So
good
it is-
politics
It is good politics
that can.
which can help us
Okay.
to to benefit.
Let's wind up on this issue, Dr. Jared Were-Wanzala. How best can this extremism in politics be handled and managed?
Now, there are three things. One, which we in the civil society have talked about. Under the DGF funding, we tried so much to push the government since the constitution was made, no policy on civic education. Whereas the role is given to the Human Rights Commission, there's even no money given to them to carry out civic education. So how do you rule a country of hopeless people who don't understand anything about governance? They don't know their roles as citizens, their duties, their obligations. They also don't know how to hold government accountable when they pay their taxes. So if you have that gap, you can only dream of progress in governance. We seem to say let's take advantage of that. So government needs to invest in this. Two, we were happy here celebrating the whatever, the census. It has told us we are a very young population. Now, if the capacity of the young people is enhanced, they can constructively participate in politics. But if it is not enhanced, and then we just leave them to drown into alcohol, to drown into drugs, you will harvest only stone throwers who will beat you during elections. Okay? Because you cannot sit in a meeting and you discuss anything constructive, someone will gather them, give them alcohol and say, go and beat Honorable Lumu. He's there, and they will come and beat you without asking why. Three, the political actors at the top level, okay? By political actors, I don't mean only opposition, I also mean in government. If you, every electoral cycle, for instance, you radicalize the population by torturing them. If political leaders cannot move freely and hold rallies and address the population, but when they go, they are beaten, they are prevented. So now the political, the barriers, because barriers used to be placed for mourning, you would not find their politics. Now barriers are political gatherings because the political space is limited. That is why people are now fighting over dead bodies. That if I leave Parliament to be in charge of this event, probably Chagulanyi and his team may not be given an opportunity to speak. So the only thing for them to do is become militant, steal the body and run with it to where they want to go. So I think we need to rethink the whole political, context, environment.
Richard, finally from you, the role of the government in power in this. I think he touched briefly on it. Can it play a role, or it's the people in power are enjoying the comedy and exploiting the current political atmosphere?
No, the first thing, we have to conquer fear. I think we are bound by fear. As a population, we are really bound by fear, and so we don't even dare talk about the challenge. For example, Apollo, what I always push back upon is when they say people in power. I always say the person in power.
Oh.
Yeah, this thing of people.
Is only one in power.
Yes, the person in power. I also say that we really shy away from talking about some things because the consequences can be serious. We have seen them. But as long as you have the power holding longevity project, as long as the person in power is thinking about holding power as long as 60 years or whatever beyond, then all these other issues will remain like that.
Doesn't these issues actually act against his thirst to continue holding on power?
If we take the objective conditions on the ground as per now, that approach has been an approach that has succeeded for 4 decades.
Yeah, but
that approach has succeeded for 40 years.
Containing such a people is not, it's so expensive. You saw what happened in 2020
expensive
elections. To who? The bloodshed.
It is expensive to who?
To contain the militant youth.
But it's expensive to who? Who is paying the price? The point is, who is paying the price? You see, who is paying the price? Is it the person at the helm? Really? So you see, Honorable Rumu has a very personal experience on what the cost of bad politics can be. He's not alone in this country. But because of that, we are very intimidated to even say, you see, we have a problem, a project of staying in power for decades and ensuring that it is passed over in a certain manner. We fear to go there to talk about it. So if we don't overcome fear, I don't think that we shall have a big change. What happens though, Apollo, is that every population gets to the end of its ability to endure.
Yeah, there is a threshold.
There is a threshold. And when they get to that, the population snaps.
Somebody called it the anger threshold.
Now, when the population snaps, we have seen population snap. The latest is in Sudan. The latest is in Sudan. And it is because people fear to talk. The doctors who were there, the ambassador. I was in Ethiopia when these people were running, and it was the Ethiopian embassy that was tasked. And with the ambassador Chwet as the external security, and to move these people. Ask them what they moved with out there. There was no water, water to drink.
Drinking water.
The kids were going to die of exhaustion because of lack of water. But if you know, this week that has ended, there have been massacres. People are massacring each other. I always tell you that we are exactly like grasshoppers. Get grasshoppers, put them in a container, they will eat each other. And so, when you see this country, and when we predict these things, is I keep saying, you go, oh, you are a doomsdayer. I can tell you, we have built a power keg, and we wait for the spark. We will turn on each other.
So,
in this town. So we must overcome our fear and say, excuse us, the power project has taken 4 decades, thank you very much. Let's not ban, but let's not have California.
Those are the issues. The NUP leadership and the supporters are talking about.
They are not. They are absolutely not. They are talking about 500 million.
Oh.
Yes, they are not. They are talking about denying a mother of the birth of his son. This is what they are talking about.
Well, it's a precarious situation.
In short, Apollo,
we also find ourselves.
What I was talking about has been brought out clearly by Richard, my neighbor here. Serious politics.
He told you.
Are we talking about?
There is a road in central region that connects.
We are only handling petty issues.
Petty issues.
And not concentrating on serious politics.
No, we are not. Because right now, this is the period we would be talking about the serious politics. Are we? We are not. We are abusing this one, we are abusing each other, we are like actually grasshoppers themselves, like he said. When will we ever think above pettiness?
Now, let's talk about serious issues. We'll be going into what is happening in the court martial. I hope that's a serious issue also. Mr. Apollo, thanks for the show. I am Amon from Chitende. I'm watching. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks, moderator. Okay. Waddell Stephen, I had read out that message. Thank you so much. Honorable Joe Senyonyi and the Sheikh of Parliament, they should apologize because they know the protocol of Parliament. When a member of Parliament dies, how they respect the dead body, and first NUP should accepted to take body to Parliament, but the same NUP refused Parliament procedures as they respect. Okay, I get the message. He's saying, Honorable Joyce Senyonyi and others who were in Parliament, would have guided, the leaders would have guided the foot soldiers on how protocol is respected when a member of parliament dies.
You see, Apollo, if you come to my place and my kid kicks you, all he says, you are not welcome.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting somewhere watching him. If you are intelligent enough, just go back.
Yeah.
It means I don't like you in my home.
Yeah.
So now, if you see foot soldiers kicking, doing what, and you are sitting there, what does that mean?
The leaders.
It means they are acquiescing. You know, there is one word called acquiescence. They are acquiescing.
Okay. Dear sir, according to my understanding, by now we don't have opposition. We have people who are fighting for their personal benefits. Look at Senyonyi is facilitated by government, but also he decided to spoil his fellow MP's burial. So Bobi Wine must understand that he's not the first and the last. Moses Bika from Kaliro. It is your opinion. Thank you so much for that opinion. Good morning. Apollo, my submission on that matter is the opposition has to get a better way of playing politics rather than coming on people's burials to show their... Okay, Kampumuza Kero, I think I had read that. Mr. Apollo, what do we do with our politics, which is only to excite masses but not to discuss issues? Okay, thank you so much, viewers. We'll now hold it at that. Let's cross over to what is happening in the General Court Martial, and I would ideally bring the lawyer first, but let me first pick a comment from Dr. Werihe Wanzara. These proceedings have been happening, have been going on for some good weeks. And Dr. Besigye this week came for the 6th time. He declined to take plea, and his lawyers insisted on the jurisdiction of the court martial, not only on trying civilians, but also even the territorial jurisdiction, considering that these people were arrested in Kenya and then brought here. So quickly, I seek your quick comment on the implication of this case. To me, I see as if all is handled well, this may be a landmark case to define the rule of law and jurisprudence, and all matters relating to justice, especially on the side of civilians. I don't know what you make.
Yeah, of course, as a layman, since we have a lawyer in the studio, I will not go much into the legalities. But one, for the benefit of viewers, I want to say that this issue of trying civilians in the military court has been ongoing.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is, I think, in the UPDF Act, where they say if you are found with what they call military stores. Military stores, they mean things like weapons or even military attire. That you be tried there. But I also know that in other laws within Uganda, there are, I think, like the penal code, there are laws that prohibit, a civilian from carrying the weapons or even pretending to be a soldier of which you are not. So, but now, for the case of Dr. Besigye, he has insisted, one, that there is a case in the Supreme Court
Pending.
where the arguments were closed in May last year, only pending a ruling, okay? That this has not been done, and you have seen even the president of the Law Society is trying to put the radar on the Chief Justice at the Supreme Court that if this is happening, why can't you rule on this case? So that we know what is happening, but which leaves all of us actually as citizens watching. Why do you finish the argument? Then you are taking a whole year, yet more and more people are being tried. But also there is a case, if I remember, I read, which was ruled around December 20th, of one Ambrose Ogwang, where the Justice Tibatema and then another said that the question, the jurisdiction of the court martial to try civilians, saying This is a special court which was established to administer discipline within
Serving officers.
the army, the serving officers of the UPDF. So how does it again become, a court for the civilians, and yet they are not military people? So they seem to have the same argument that it is wrong to have people tried in that. And Besigye's refusal to take plea is actually based on that you cannot take plea in a court which lacks jurisdiction to try you.
You didn't address the issue of the implication of a judgment from such a court now in the case of Besigye. I said I look at it as to be a landmark. It's a case that would give us a very strong precedent.
Yeah, but
because considering even political prisoners have been ending in that court, so if a judgment is made in that matter, it would be a landmark.
Yeah, definitely. Many of us have been saying that the court martial has become a kind of a political walking stick that is used to whip political opponents, because we have followed the proceedings in that court, especially those relating to politicians, but we have never seen any substantive evidence presented leading to conviction, except the NUP people who were persuaded by a minister to go and accept and then get convicted to be released, which was actually abuse of the justice system. So for me, I believe that if the Supreme Court rules on this matter, then also in line with the Constitutional Court's other rulings, then that will be a landmark thing. Because what we have is a ruling that it was wrong. The Supreme Court sometime ruled that it was wrong to have civilians being tried in the two courts, the military court and the Supreme Court. But the most important issue has not been resolved. For me, I would urge the Honorable Owinyidolo to ensure that actually he's not seen in the bad light as the head of the judiciary. Why is this case not being finalized?
Thank you. Honorable Richard Lumu, tell us what you think about what is happening in court. We can discuss this issue because there was a ruling this week made by the chairman of the General Court Martial, Brigadier General Freeman Mugabe. What do you read from?
You see, there are cows which are, not cows, but bulls, which are castrated. Now, the person who makes a decision to castrate the bull is the owner of the bull. Now, in Uganda, there is someone who has decided to castrate every organ of government. You wonder if it was trial in military courts, how this head of ADF was never and has never been tried in a military court.
Jamiru
Mukuru, who has never denied that he's a leader of ADF. And as you are wondering that, they go to Kenya and arrest a person in the names of Kiza Besigye, and quickly bring him in Uganda and quickly make charge sheets and quickly align him in a court martial. One of the things which I read, which actually surprises me, they are saying that he was intending to buy 2 guns, 2 pistols, meaning he was not arrested with the guns even. He was intending, according to them. Now, if he was intending, you cannot say he had military wear to even be able to bring him before a military court martial. The speed at which they did the charges, the speed by which they aligned him in court is also surprising. But there is a landmark case of Kabaziguruka.
The Constitutional Court.
Yes. If you read that case in detail, which doctor has been talking about, if you read it in detail, I think the courts exhausted their hearts in what actually should be a person to be tried in a court martial. Why the Chief Justice, the Honorable Windolo, is still confused, I'm using that word. He doesn't know how to remove this complete heart exhaustion of the Court of Appeal. Because I read that case and I think they did good justice when they are.
Then the Attorney General appealed.
Yes,
in the Supreme
the
Court.
Attorney General appealed. It is now 1 year. They are scratching their heads to find out what kind of judgment can we give better than this. So it is upon the Honorable, the Chief Justice, right now, to put himself in a manner that jurisprudence, even for our children, must be reality now, so that he's not part of the castrated bulls.
Oh.
Yes, this is his trial also.
Oh,
It is not.
the Supreme Court is on trial
He's
also,
on trial.
or only the Chief Justice is
The
on trial?
Chief Justice is the head of the Supreme Court. So it is a trial bigger than Chiza Besige's trial. Because it is him now and the justices in the Supreme Court to come out and really say what the law says. Trial of civilians in military courts is prohibited by the law itself. It is. It's not allowed. The establishment of military tribunals was specifically to deal with soldiers, men in uniform, not even policemen, not even prisons, soldiers, if I would use the word soldiers, the army. Now, if you cannot take a policeman to a court martial, then you can take a civilian. Then you are worse than anything you can think of. Because I like one thing which Chiza Besige has done for me, to refuse to take plea. Even the court martial is caught in its own game. Because how are you going to proceed?
Sure.
I have not taken plea, so okay, you proceed. That is why you see they are bringing him there. They are trying to extract it.
They are returning on third.
Yeah, they are extracting it.
Can't court pronounce itself on a matter
Yeah,
without...
They don't want to.
No, I'm saying...
What the court can say...
As a lawyer,
The court will
the court
say...
make a ruling...
No, the
when
court will say... He has refused, but he's
the
not
defense
guilty.
has...
It's not, they will not convict you. They'll say you are not guilty. And then you proceed. But if a man who is talking with all the intellect he has, with everything, he's not mad, fails to take plea. Yes, you can say he's innocent. He has not pleaded guilty. But back in your head, you'll be with the questions. How do I proceed with this? Supposing he comes for hearing, he says, I won't say anything. I want.
Does that stop the...
Okay, how you will proceed?
The judge, the trial
you will proceed,
judge
you will do whatever you want, but he has not said
to make a ruling?
In your record of court, there will be nothing said by him.
Yeah.
You think that one is a very easy kind of proceeding? It is not. You will also be on your own trial.
So the General Court Martial is on trial.
The General Court Martial is on trial. The Chief Justice actually is on the biggest trial.
Oh.
I wish he could, because the power is with him. I don't want him to be a castrated bull. I want him to be him, the person I understand of him.
Thank you.
If the appeal was done, the hearing was done, it is just a judgment or ruling which is lacking. Let him call tomorrow, send a message that, are you people? You come for the ruling. Then the whole world will know this is the Chief Justice, he has said this, the court has said this and that. And people will abide. You know, Ugandans are very good people. They can look at you much as they have not accepted whatever you are saying. They will just look at you and go and you think you've managed them. They have not gone in in peace. They have gone, but they know they are resisting. Their hearts are resisting. So the Chief Justice, the Honorable, should not put himself on trial.
Okay.
The other group I want to speak to,
just quickly,
is the court martial. They should also not put themselves on trial simply because they want to appease anyone. Let them do the right thing. If Besigye wants bail, I think he has even refused to apply for bail. So now, isn't that a trial for the court martial? Someone is here, he says, I won't apply. Are you going to move by own motion to give him bail? So those are questions. The last one is Aaron Kiza. When I moved my bill, Aaron Kiza was one of the persons who came and attacked me dangerously. But now, he was incarcerated without being heard. On that court martial, there is a judge. I think
Judge Advocate.
Judge Advocate. I studied with him on masters. I don't know why he didn't advise, at least. Because they say
the chairman
contempt what? Yes.
He was convicted without hearing.
Yes, but must be heard. This is a lawyer.
Okay, thank you so much. We're running out of time. Richard, utilize at least 5 minutes to speak about what you see from this case, because we now agree, the three of us, that this case actually may turn out to be a landmark case. Looking at the gravity of the cases, and then the possible outcome and its implications.
Apple, I've been with you severally on this platform. I've been on other platforms. I have refused to be drawn into any legal discussions. I have insisted, for me, this case has nothing legal about it. This is a political matter.
That is true.
I have refused. I have been with you here previously. I have said, Apollo, don't start asking me about legal. Dr. Chiza Besigye is not a legal issue. Dr. Chiza Besigye is a political headache for President Museveni.
So why are all his 30-plus lawyers now, wasting our time?
They're not wasting time. That's why I told you.
No, I've used the word, but making arguments.
I agree with you. I told you that the first politicalness of this case was Martha Karua. These Rumus are capable lawyers. They are very competent. But it had to be
Martha Karua.
Yes, it is the politicalness of the case that we are dealing with. There is nothing in this situation, has nothing to do with legalism. That is why you see there is no. It is difficult for anyone to tell you how to proceed. How do you say proceed? Captain Ora, Aaron Chiza. What is legal about Aaron Chiza? The way he's arrested and charged. No, don't even charged.
Convicted.
Sentenced.
Convicted.
So what is legal about that? So Apollo, I have sat on all the media houses I have been in my private arguments with the people. I've said, for me, there is nothing legal about Chiza Besigye's.
It is political.
So abduction.
How should it be handled?
It has to be resolved politically. Chiza Besigye's abduction from Nairobi. Can you imagine the ridiculousness of saying that I have to go to Nairobi to buy 2 pistols? Can you think about that? And then you come and tell me that this is legal. Please. So I have refused. The most consistent political headache to President Museveni is a human being called Chiza Besigye from Mulakavengo.
Yeah, but
and so to deal with him, you have to scratch and scramble and do what?
But
so I was telling you about the Chihuzo crab. One of the components of the Chihuzo is the tribunal. But I tell you, I have said here that Amin used to call it tribunion.
This week
is a tribunion.
This week they say
called
it should no longer be called a tribunal, it is a court.
Yes. Yeah, but that is
the court rule.
But that is the Chihuzu I'm saying. So the Chihuzu has added energy that even me, I should not call it a tribunion because it will come for me. So what do you say?
The court changed the name?
No, the court refused all the defense team, all people who come to that court, never to call it again a tribunal.
But what is it?
That's the point.
That it means it is also.
What is it?
But you see, that's what I'm saying.
Because now, okay, who tells them to tell the defense team to call it whatever they want?
So you see, upon what I was saying, that this scratching and looking for where to hold is to deal with a political challenge called Dr. Chiza Besigye Chifefi.
Okay. But I have to remind you that there is other section of Ugandans who also think that this is government trying to bring Kizza Besigye back to politics.
Then it's politics. It still remains my position that it's politics.
But it is okay.
Mr. Apollo and the panel
wants to be brought back to politics the way Kizza Besigye is being brought, he can as well be arrested and be taken there.
Mr. Apollo and the panel, what is going on in the court martial is simply politics to play. For example, you clearly see it with how lawyers handling these cases behave. I don't think it was a case in the other courts, Mr. Elon. Mr. Elon would be treated the way he was treated, to react the way he was. Okay. Thank you, Abel Akampumuza. I will wind up because our time is running out. Okay, this is Monday Emmanuel from Kanungu watching. I love him for doing this. Kizza Besigye's decision to refuse to take plea in court is a bold and courageous move. It shows how he's a man of principle who is willing to stand up for what he believes in, even in the face of adversity. Thank you so much, Emmanuel from Kanungu, and many messages, but time is far spent. Your parting shot in just a few seconds.
I think for me, the castration of institutions, like the Honorable referred to, the castration of institutions, by the way, does not relate to the institution, even individuals. Like the head of the court martial, Mugabe, is looking very ugly. Every time I see the Chief Justice speak about this Supreme Court ruling, he even wants to turn and look backwards.
He looks castrated already.
Castrated. Yesterday, a committee of parliament ordered the minister to come next time with a CDF.
Yeah.
What followed, I saw a tweet.
Those clowns.
Saying, these clowns, fools, I will arrest all of them. Are we going to finish all these institutions? Then which country are we going to be left with?
Richard, your parting shot.
When I was still an active journalist, we went with a gentleman called Fajil Mande, who was commissioner for education. So we're in Tororo. And he said, these people in the parliament, they are buffoons.
Oh.
When the monitor journalist in Tororo sent, they said they thought it was a typing mistake. They thought he meant baboons, because you see Bukarasa, you see baboons, so they thought he had seen baboons. So they said parliamentarians are baboons. A big headline, dash Mande. And so I used to moderate a talk show with the Honorable Babu. So we're asking him, so are you better off being baboons or buffoons? So you see, when you see buffoonery, or is it baboonery? And you want to call it zero? No, I don't think so.
Richard, Honorable Richard, just in a few seconds.
Thank you. And first of all, I want to thank you and my colleagues who have been here. And I want to make this statement on Parliament.
Please.
The Parliament of Uganda is full of everybody. The buffoons are there, the baboons are there, but there are still some people with credibility.
True.
And for those, the Parliament can run the way it is running. So I want to thank whoever has watched us, and I want to send greetings to my people of Mitiana South who have been watching. I'm very sure they have been watching. Right now, I'm going to attend the last funeral rites of my greatest mentor, Dr. Kawanga Semogerere in Nkumba. That's where I'm going, and I want that next time you invite me, God permits me to come.
Thank you. Thank you so much, our viewers. Thank you so much to those who sent in comments and observations. The production team and my panel, Richard, thank you. Honorable Richard, thank you. I hope that's the difference. Dr. Awere, thank you.
Richard squared.
And, until next Saturday, I say God bless you and God bless Uganda.